Me, Matt here.
Good girl.
You know what time it is.
Me, Matt's right through the night. Killing Daniel's got the size. Wheels of fury on the ground. Engine roaring in the sound. Feel the power, let it rise. With the battle in our eyes. Wheels of fury rolling strong. Together we will carry on.
Hey, me and Matt here. Welcome to another episode of Wheels of Fury. And in the spirit of what was supposed to be InVAsion, we'll talk about that when we talk about that.
Right.
We're going to talk about InVAsion 2001.
Yeah.
And I know that in this year we talked about SummerSlam, we talked about the Survivor Series. I think we talked about another pay-per-view.
I think so, yeah.
Yes, InVAsion. We WCW, ECW versus WWF.
Yeah.
If I was clever, I would have taken my titles down. But, in any case, yeah, this was a fairly interesting show.
To say the least.
I mean, when you look at, okay, WCW closed its doors because they went bankrupt.
Yeah.
And their show is basically shit anyways. You talk about ECW and how Paul Heyman ran out of money or whatever, and then they closed their doors. And so it was kind of like, alright, WWF is gonna probably be the superior one,
Yeah.
and they eventually turned out to be, but and then you look at the fact too that yeah, we didn't have the major stars, Sting, Goldberg, and WO. Whatever the case may be, it is what it is.
Right. Yeah, I mean, even though there wasn't, the huge name stars, like, okay, the main event guys, Hogan, Scott Hall, Nash, Goldberg, Brett, etc. You still had, okay, a lot of them were like main card and on their guys, but you still had pretty big names in the Alliance. So I mean,
And I think people have to remember that in 2000 you had the Rascals coming in. You had Chris Jericho. You had Taz.
yeah,
And Taz was still the ECW champion.
right,
So, and then Raven, obviously.
yeah,
Now, Scott was in WWF as Johnny Polo
right,
at one point, but, it just kind of escalated from there. And then, yeah, the InVAsion happened. Paul Heyman eventually joined commentary and so on and so forth. Was this a good idea? On paper, yeah, I'll say it was.
On paper, yes. In execution, could have been better.
Yeah, it really could have been better. It could have been worse as well.
True.
And I think that I will give the InVAsion storyline credit. They tried.
Yeah.
I mean, when we get to the main event, we'll talk about what I saw recently, but yeah, let's get it on.
Yeah.
So we start off Sunday Night Heat. We've got Chavo Guerrero of WCW taking on Scotty 2 Hotty of WWF.
Yeah.
We didn't watch this,
No.
but Chavo picked up the win.
Right.
And, you know, it's kind of cool to see a young Chavo in WWF. I mean, through the years, him teaming up with Eddie and then becoming the WWE ECW champion. That's a mouthful.
Right.
The Cruiserweight champion of the WWF.
Yeah.
Tag team champion, so on and so forth. Scotty is kind of... I wish they would have did more with him.
Yeah. I mean, you had him, of course, with Grandmaster Sexy, Brian Christopher, of course, Rikishi. But then once they went their separate ways, you know, Rikishi excelled, and Scotty and Brian didn't really do much after that.
No. I mean, you go from Brian Christopher and Scott Taylor to... Yeah, too much.
Too much. That became too old.
I mean, before that, Scott was a jobber in the early 90s.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, kind of underrated in a way, because you had him teaming with Brian Christopher, then you go on to the Hip Hop Hippo, and basically became a fireman. He did a few appearances here and there, but...
Scotty did make an appearance, well, back during the pandemic when they had that match with the Miz and, was it Damian Priest? Or the Miz and Morrison? Something like that, with all the zombies.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Scotty Jihadi was one of those zombies, and there was a few others. I think they had a couple of NXT guys as well. I think Brock Breaker was one of them.
Yep.
And a couple other. And I think Grayson Waller was one as well. And then to start the show, we have a tag team match. Edge and Christian taking on Lance Storm and Mike Awesome. Now, of course, we've talked about Mike Awesome a number of times. We've talked about Lance Storm quite a few times. Edge and Christian, I know we've talked about many times. It seemed like it was a pretty good match.
Yeah. These two really worked well together, like these two teams. And I think Mike Awesome could have really been a big powerhouse in WWF if things worked off.
Yeah.
You know, if I could be serious for a moment, I think that Lance Storm would be a good WWF champion in the future. Well, yeah, it's apples and oranges.
Yeah, pretty. It was this morning I was looking at Instagram and I came across a video of, what was it from? CCW or something? Anyways, it's from 1990. It was a match between Lance Storm and Chris Jericho.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's just it. I think those two teaming up in Smoky Mountain Wrestling, I think, was very cool. And you look at someone like Lance Storm, and again, I wish they did more with him. Yeah, they did the whole personality thing with him and Goldust.
Yeah.
After Steve Austin, like, shit all over him in the match or whatever. And yeah, I remember that. It was bad. But again, I feel like now him being an agent and a trainer, I mean, to show you how good he was, you know, let's watch a lot of his matches and just see the moves that he can come up with.
Oh, yeah.
His TV show, I can't remember the name of it, where he coached a lot of the young wrestlers. Janelle Dashwood was there, Casey Spinelli, Chelsea Green. I think she was on that season.
Right.
But yeah, Lance is now an agent,
Yeah.
and I feel like somebody that I wish would have become the heavyweight champion in WWF, even if it were for like a month or a week.
Yeah. Lance Dorient. Of course, Edge and Chris are doing their thing in AEW. Mike Awesome. We lost.
It's 2007.
Yeah.
Yeah. Always get your health checked.
Yeah.
You know, mental health is an important part of life, I feel, and it's unfortunate things happen the way they did.
Yeah.
But yeah, Edge and Christian ended up getting the win,
Yeah.
so we now go the match. Mick Foley refereeing a referee's match.
Yep.
Got Earl Hebner versus Nick Patrick. Now during this time, Nick Patrick would referee a match between a WCW and a WWF wrestler. Of course, he's being a massive prick and not pinning a WWF wrestler when they're going for the pin, I guess.
Yeah,
Something like that.
He was counting for the WCW guy who refused to count for the
Yeah.
And Earl Hebner came out, they got into it, and then of course, you have all the WWF referees and WCW referees sharing a locker room, and they would always get this scuffles, and then which led to this match.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was alright.
Yeah.
For what you expect from a referee versus referee, like, I mean, we've seen manager versus manager and whatever, but this was kind of just there. Obviously, they're not wrestlers,
Yeah.
so, I mean, if Mick Foley wasn't there, it would be the shits.
Yeah, really.
But Earl Hebner ended up winning.
Yeah. And we're going through this tag team match. We got the APA taking on Chuck Palumbo and Sean O'Hare. Four big brutes beating the hell out of each other.
Yes. I mean, not watching WCW, but seeing Chuck Palumbo for the first time and being like, here's a guy that is money. I mean, if you can look at the future matches that he could have had with, let's say, The Undertaker or Kane, now he was in a tag team match against them at one point, but what do? They give him the whole Billy and Chuck thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, kind of apropos looking back, because he did a biker gimmick
Yes.
with Michelle McCool,
So, yeah.
who ended up marrying The Undertaker, a real
Right.
biker, I guess. Anyways, yeah, this was a really good match, and as you expect, it was really hard-hitting.
Yeah. Like, you watch any of the APA matches, and they were, physical. Chuck and Sean, yeah, they were physical guys, but they were also fairly athletic as well. Especially O'Hare.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this guy was really somebody that should have been another guy to take the title in WWF. I mean, you have him in this alliance thing, and then you have him as the motivational, I don't think it was a motivational speaker
Right.
guy, the devil's advocate,
Right, yeah.
being with Roddy Piper, then being released, and unfortunately, like Mike Awesome.
Yeah.
I just, shame how that all turned out for him. And yeah, the APA ended up picking up the win.
Yeah.
I will say that it's cool to see a young John Layfield.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously Ron Simmons, but Ron was a lot older.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the APA were a very good take team.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Now we have this match, 2 lightweights / cruiserweights.
Right.
We've got Billy Kidman versus X-Pac.
Yeah.
Now, funny enough, Sean Waltman was in WCW as 6-Pac,
Yeah.
a part of the NWO.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, go a little bit before that, X-Pac, and then you have, I don't know, 1, 2, 3 Kid,
Right.
Lightning Kid,
Yes.
whatever. So it's kind of funny how he didn't join Team Alliance.
Yeah.
But Billy Kidman, another guy, I watched a few of his matches, but not a lot. Obviously, I watched his matches in WWE.
Right.
but
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like those two having problems in their personal life, it would have been, like, if they didn't have that, I think their careers would have been much better.
Yeah, you
They
can
would
say
have
that.
gotten, I don't see them as heavyweight champions at some point. But this was a pretty good high-flying match. X-Pac basically did most of the work, but it ended up going to Billy Kidman.
Right. Really, yeah. Raven taking on William Regal.
Yeah, this was cool. And you know, we talked about Scott Levy earlier, and it's like, I feel like this guy, again, don't know the circumstances when he came into WWF, but you have a guy that, again, being Johnny Polo, being the manager of the Quebecers, going into, right afterwards, WCW, ECW, I believe back to ECW,
I think so, yeah.
and then WWF, aligning himself with Taz,
Right.
and then of course the alliance happened. I feel like, and again, we talk about another WCW original, William Regal, or as he was known, Steven Regal.
Lord Steven Regal, yes.
Yeah. I believe that he could have easily turned, and I'm pretty sure he did.
I think so.
But this was a pretty good back and forth as well.
Yeah.
And Taz ended up interfering,
Yeah.
and yeah, Raven won. So we have this match. It's a 6-man tag. We've got Chris Kanyon, Hoof Morris, and Sean Stasiak, who took on Albert, Big Show, and Billy Gunn.
Yes.
Yeah. If you don't know, you should know.
If you don't know by now, you should.
Yeah. Huge erection.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, thank you, Eric. I feel like, yeah, this was a good match too, and I believe it was Show, Billy, and Albert that did the press over
yeah.
their heads. Yeah. Now I can't remember, but it ended up that Canyon, Morris, and Stasiak got the win.
Yeah.
I was watching something earlier yesterday, and there was wrestlers that now have normal jobs. Sean Stasiak is a chiropractor.
Yeah.
It's fucking insane.
Go from beating people up to cracking people's backs.
Pretty much. And you want to talk about yet another WCW guy, Paul White.
Yes.
And I didn't watch a lot of him in WCW, but I knew right away when he came up through that mat in St. Valentine's Day Massacre, I
Right.
knew exactly who that was.
Yeah.
But this was a good match, and yeah, it's hard to believe it. Alliance got the win here.
Yeah, really.
Actually, it seems like they're 3-3 so far.
Alliance won the first match of the heat. The WWF won the next 3 matches. The WCW and even the Alliance won the next 3. So they're as it would stand right now, Alliance is up 4-3.
Yeah.
Which leads us to this match. Jerry taking on Taz.
Yes. Yeah, the 2 different styles. 2 guys that were both in ECW.
Right.
I mean, you look at Tajiri, and this guy who started his career in Japan, obviously,
Right.
and comes over to America in ECW, has a stellar career there, and then shows up as Regal's assistant, I guess.
Something like that, yeah.
Taz, the human suplex machine.
Right.
You know, these 2 guys were amazing, and this match was no exception.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, Tajiri won with the mist.
Yeah.
But you know, and it would be cool to see him in WWE again. Like, I know he's back in Japan, and he made an appearance a couple years ago.
Right.
But
Yeah.
or hell, even have him go into AEW.
That would be it.
We have a hardcore match, obviously for the hardcore title, WWF hardcore title. That is.
Yes.
We've got Rob Van Dam versus Jeff Hardy.
Yeah.
And holy shit, these 2 have had some stellar matches.
Oh, God, yeah.
I mean, you look at someone like Rob Van Dam, and this guy who was high flying ever since his independent wrestling days, and then going on to WCW and having a good career there, kind of, and then making his way to ECW in the matches he had there.
Yeah.
Teaming with Sabu,
Uh-huh.
and, you know, just, and him and Fonzie, obviously.
Yeah.
And then going into WWF, you have, well, his first go around in 95.
Yeah.
Or no, it was 97.
Yeah.
And that was pretty cool. And then Jeff Hardy, know about him being a jobber in the mid 90s.
Yeah.
His match with Scott Hall.
Yeah.
But yeah, these 2 have had some stellar matches, and this one was fucking awesome. I mean, you got tables, you got chairs, you got ladder,
Yeah.
everything, like, and anything and everything.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so Rob Van Dam ended up taking the title from Jeff, becoming the new hardcore champion, which
Yeah.
I think was fitting, obviously.
Yeah.
You know, here's somebody that was that good and good enough to take that title.
Yeah.
So,
And you know, you look at today, Rob, I think he still does matches periodically from time to time.
yeah.
He did have a few matches in AEW. And of course, Jeff is doing his thing with Matt TNA. They're the current TNA Tag Champs. So,
Yeah. Also, RVD has his own podcast with his wife Katie.
right.
So, that's pretty cool. I mean, it's always cool when you're Rob Van Dam. But,
Well, yeah. And then we go on to Trish Stratus and Lita taking on Tori Wilson and Stacy Keibler in a Brawling Panties match with your guest referee. You guessed it once again, Mick Foley, fucking bastard.
yeah, pretty much. Well, I don't know. I wasn't big on the women's division back then.
I don't think anybody was.
And
Be honest.
that's where you get these kind of stipulations. I mean, Stacy and Tori were not wrestlers.
No.
I mean, you have Stacy as a cheerleader, eventually becoming Miss Hancock,
Yes.
and then Tori Wilson dating Billy Kidman and
Yeah.
getting bitch slapped by Brandy Savage,
Yeah.
and then whatever the fuck else. And then obviously Trish and Lita, who were one of the best wrestlers in WWF.
Yes.
I mean, they main evented Raw.
Mhm.
So, this match could easily be a throwaway match. Obviously, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Trish and Lita ended up winning.
I mean, and like that was the time period where,
Yeah.
like, you had some fairly talented women on the roster back then. You know, Lita, Trish, I think Molly Holly, Jazz, Victoria, I think,
Yeah,
and so on and so forth. They just weren't getting the proper time for matches. It was, they said, well, you know, talk about this match being a throwaway match, if you will. That was pretty much what it was. Women's matches were basically throwaway matches. It's like, oh, we've got some time to kill. You need to go out there for 3 minutes, have a match, then we'll go on with the show.
yeah, pretty much.
But I mean, like, I think Trish and Lita must have really garnered some attention and probably respect in the locker room to be granted the opportunity to main event Monday Night Raw like that.
Well, and that's just it. Like, these two women are the reason why we have what we have today in the women's division.
Right.
And I don't even want to say it's just WWE. You talk about AEW, you talk about TNA. Yes, I know, Japan has Stardom and Shimmer and all that stuff. But American wrestling, for the women's division, have wrestlers like Trish Stratus, like Lita, like Molly Holly, like Ivory,
Yeah.
to thank for what we're doing now. You know, you talk about 2001, 2002, you got Trish and Lita main eventing Raw.
Uh-huh.
You've got a take team match with The Rock and Trish Stratus versus, I think it was Triple H and Stephanie or something
I
like
think
that.
so, yeah.
You go to 2002 Survivor Series, and I dare say, one of the best fucking matches of the year. Trish Stratus Toria, you know, a hardcore match for the women's title. Like, it would take the Give Divas a chance to really get the ball rolling. And then you have Evolution. And then you have the Women's Royal Rumble. And then you have the Women's War Games. Like,
War Games. Women's Elimination Chamber matches.
Yeah. Thank you, Trish.
So we got a 10-man tag match. Team Alliance versus Team WWF. We have Booker T, Bubba Ray Dudley, DDP, Devon, and Rhino. With Shane, Stephanie, and Paul Heyman. And for Team WWF, you got Jericho, Kane, Angle, Austin, and Taker with Vince. Now here it says 10-man tag, which is essentially what it was. When the highlight package we watched, it said that there was an inaugural brawl. Why couldn't it have been a brawl? There's these 10 dudes getting in the ring, beating the hell out of each other. I can make it no holds barred, whatever the hell you want, and then last team standing wins, however the fuck you wanted to do that. And I mean, like, yeah, it eventually broke down into chaos, but I mean, like, I don't know if they jumped the gun with that brawl title, an hour brawl title, if you will. It was a 10-man tag. Anyways.
Yeah, I mean, that's just it. I feel like that should have been a one-and-done deal. A showdown, brawl, if you will.
Right.
I feel like that would have been the best thing to do, but we didn't know that Survivor Series was going to be what it was going to be.
Yeah.
And, I mean, everyone got their shit in, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
But we all know what happened. Steve Austin, well, actually, he got knocked out on the outside, and the referees were checking on him. And then, as it turns out, he gets in the ring as I think it was Kurt Angle that was doing the ankle on him.
Yeah.
And he clobbers Kurt and beats up some other WWE guys, and yeah, he's now a member of Team Alliance. And I was watching something yesterday. It was Cultaholic, and they were talking about super heel turns.
Right.
Or something like that.
Right.
Where heels already turned when they were heels.
Heels becoming super heels or
Yeah.
something like that.
And I wish they would have put this on that list, because you look at WrestleMania 17, and you look at Vince coming down at the main event, and basically helping Austin win, then Austin shaking McMahon's hand and basically selling his soul to the devil. And then, you know, you get the whole guitar thingy, you know, with Kurt. And both guys were actually out of action, so they couldn't wrestle. So they did those skits. They were pretty funny, whatever. But then you go to the InVAsion angle, and you go, okay, there's something, everything is fine, because you don't know what's going to happen. And then you go to this match, and it's like, Austin turns on his own team, and joins the Alliance, and it's like, okay, you know, I liked Austin, I did after WrestleMania 17, even though he turned to the dark side, if you will, but this is too fucking far. And yeah, you know, it's just wrestling. But you look at this and you think, okay, went from being a beer swallowing finger guy, and now he's like fucking being the guy who's a kiss ass and you know McMahon and whatever, and then all of a sudden he's now aligned with Stephanie and Shane and Paul Heyman, and it's like, you know, and then you have the celebration, the Stone Cold Appreciation thing, and all this stuff. But when you think about it, yes, Steve Austin was somebody that was in WCW and then ECW before being in WWF. So I get it, I understand that. But what else, like, it's kind of one of those things where, okay, what was the idea here? Like, why did you have him turn? Like, what the fuck was the point?
Yeah.
And I mean, and I thought about this a while ago, like, you know, talk about a year before, you've got WrestleMania 16, WrestleMania 2000, if you will, a McMahon in every corner.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're going into this alliance bullshit thing, and again, it's Shane and Stephanie versus Vince.
Yeah.
Somehow, well, I don't believe Linda got involved, but it's like, it couldn't just be about WCW versus ECW and WWF, whatever the fuck it was gonna be, because where the fuck was Bischoff? Why wasn't he involved? You can put him with all the other guys that should have been involved. You know, you had Vince, you got Paul Heyman. They could have had a match. That would have been pretty interesting.
Well,
I mean, you had Paul versus Cornette back in the early 90s in a tuxedo match.
Yeah.
Vince, well, know that he could wrestle. Well, he could throw potatoes anyway. It's just like, there was a lot of, I guess, missed opportunity, but it was what it was. So,
Yeah.
but then you got that pick shit where Kurt turns, well, sorry, he's going undercover as an ECW, WCW guy. What sense did that make?
Yeah.
And going into the Survivor Series, like,
Yeah.
it's just like, I mean, I don't know that it's just wrestling, it's all pretensies, but as a 17-year-old, it's almost like a fucking soap.
Yeah.
So this has been another episode of Wheels of Fury,
Yeah.
and yeah, I was actually really looking forward to doing this. I feel like, I know we talked about the Alliance thing to death,
Right.
and again, like I said in the beginning of the video, or like we said in the beginning of the video, things look good on paper, but does it really work?
I mean, they made it work for what they had.
Yeah.
Could it have been better? Yes. Could it have been worse? Oh, fuck yes.
And I mean, I will say, like I said, when we talked about Survivor Series 2001, like, WWE closed its doors. Then what? Because people are like, oh, Vince is
Really
greedy,
different.
closed.
I.
That was weird. Anyways, everything is new. So,
Yeah.
this has been another episode of Wheels of Fury. And yeah, next time we are at you, we will be talking about
The Crown Jewel on the 11th. And then the 12th is. I'm trying to remember. I know it's a double weekend.
yeah,
Crown Jewel and.
all bound for
No, Bound for Glory is like near the end of October. Well, we'll figure it out.
yeah. And hopefully this is the last time that this happens.
Yeah.
But for me, Matt, this is Killer Kyle.
We'll catch you in the next one.
Deuces.
Later.
Oh, that really hurt.
Oh, Jesus. Ah, my head. I'm crap. Just kidding.
My hands.